Have you ever wondered why some women walk into a room and instantly command respect, while others are overlooked no matter how kind, loving, or giving they are? It's not about beauty. It's not about money. It's not even about status. It's about something far more powerful, something invisible yet undeniable. It's the way they carry themselves. It's the way they speak. It's the words they choose and the energy behind those words. Every relationship you've ever had, whether it was romantic, professional, or even casual, was shaped by the words you spoke and the tone you carried. Words are not just sounds, they are signals. They tell others how to treat you, how to value you, and how to position themselves in your life. And here is the truth. If you want men to treat you like a queen, you must first speak like a queen. Think about it. The world listens to certainty. When someone speaks with confidence, people pay attention. Or when someone speaks with hesitation, people dismiss it. Human psychology is wired to follow strength. Strength doesn't always mean loudness or dominance. Real strength is calm. It is clear. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't force. It simply declares, and others adjust. The most powerful thing you can ever say to a man is not a long speech, not a clever line, not even a dramatic demand. The most powerful thing is one sentence, spoken with calm certainty that reveals your worth without needing to prove it. And once you understand this, everything in your relationships will shift. Men will begin to see you differently. They will rise to meet your standard, not because you begged for it, but because you showed them through your words who you are and what you deserve. But here's the part most people miss. The way you speak to others is a reflection of the way you speak to yourself. If your self-talk is filled with doubt, apology, or fear, it leaks into your words. If your self-talk is filled with strength, confidence, and self-respect, that also leaks into your words. People can feel it, or they can sense whether you value yourself or not without you even realizing it. That's why some women can say almost nothing, yet still be treated with honor, while others can give everything and still feel invisible. The secret lies in one truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, by what you accept, and by what you reinforce. And it all begins with words. A queen doesn't explain why she deserves respect. She speaks as if it's already a fact. She doesn't beg for attention. Her presence commands it. She doesn't overcompensate with gifts, effort, or endless proving. She sets a standard, and those who value her rise to meet it. Right now, you might be thinking, but what exactly do I say? That's the power of this message. If you stay with me until the very end, you'll discover the exact words that trigger respect in a man's mind. The sentence that shifts his perspective from seeing you as an option to seeing you as irreplaceable. That's the reward for watching until the final moment, because once you know it, you'll never forget it. It will become part of your voice, part of your presence, part of your identity. So let this first lesson sink in. Words are not small things. They are not random. They are the foundation of how others experience you. One sentence can make a man lose interest, and one sentence can make him devote his life to you. That is the power you carry every time you open your mouth. And if you've ever felt like you were overlooked, disrespected, or undervalued, it is not because you lacked worth. It is because your words did not yet reflect the worth that was already inside of you. Imagine the shift when they do. Imagine speaking with such calm certainty that men feel it in their chest. Imagine saying less, but meaning more. Imagine holding yourself in such dignity that no one even thinks of crossing your boundaries. That is not a dream. It is a skill. And today you begin to master it. The journey starts here with a single realization. The way you speak determines the way you are treated. If you want to be treated like a queen, you must first learn to speak like one. And when you stay with this message until the end, you will leave with the exact words that ignite respect in a man's mind and heart. Words so powerful they will shift how he sees you, how he hears you, and how he loves you. Respect. It's not something you ask for. It's not something you beg for. It's something that is given to you naturally when people sense your value. And here's the truth. Men instantly respect certain women not because those women are the loudest, the most attractive, or the most successful. They respect them because of the energy those women carry. When a woman values herself deeply, it radiates from her without her even trying. It shows in the way she walks into a room. It shows in her posture, her eye contact, and most importantly, in her words. A woman who respects herself speaks differently. She doesn't waste her words on convincing someone to stay. She doesn't try to win someone's approval with endless effort. She doesn't lower her standard just to feel wanted. Instead, she communicates her truth with quiet certainty, and that certainty is magnetic. Men are wired to respond to that. Psychologists have long studied this truth. People follow confidence even when they don't fully understand it. When someone speaks with clarity, the human brain interprets it as authority. And when authority is sensed, respect naturally follows. This is why some women don't have to say much, just a few words with certainty, and men immediately treat them differently. Now think about the opposite. Have you ever seen someone chase approval, over-explaining their actions, apologizing for simply existing, trying so hard to please that it almost drains the room? What happens? Respect vanishes. Why? Because when you act as if you need validation, you communicate that you don't truly believe in your own value. And when you don't believe it, why would anyone else? Men respect women who don't hand over their power in exchange for attention. Because here's the secret. Attention is cheap, but respect is priceless. Anyone can give attention for a moment. A man can be distracted by beauty for a season, but respect, real respect, makes him stay. It makes him listen. It makes him rise to the level of the woman in front of him. Respect comes when a woman stops living in fear of being left behind, when she no longer feels the need to fight for scraps of affection, when she recognizes that her value is not up for debate and that her presence is already enough. That inner shift is what men feel instantly. It is not arrogance. It is not pride. It is self-certainty. And self-certainty is the most attractive force in human psychology. Think about it this way. If you don't set your own standard, someone else will set it for you. And when that happens, you're no longer the queen of your life. You've handed the crown to someone else. Men instantly respect women who wear their own crown, not because they demand it, but because it's clear they won't accept anything less. But here's something powerful you must never forget. Respect is contagious. When you carry yourself with dignity, you don't just change how men see you, you change how the entire world sees you. People start speaking to you differently. Opportunities come your way. Even friendships and family dynamics shift. Why? Because people can only treat you at the level you allow. And when you raise that level, they have no choice but to rise with it or fall away. This is why some women seem to attract loyalty effortlessly. Men compete for their attention, they commit faster, and they remain consistent. It's not luck, it's psychology. Those women are living proof that when you believe in your own worth, you signal it in every word you say, in every silence you hold, in every choice you make. And men, by their very nature, are drawn to rise to that challenge. So let this sink in deeply. Respect is not something you wait to be given. It is something you teach others to give by the way you show up in the world. And the women who are treated like queens are not the ones who begged for it or compromised endlessly for it. They are the ones who already knew they were queens, and their presence made men realize it too. From this moment forward, carry yourself differently, speak with clarity, remove the habit of over-explaining, or stop apologizing for things that require no apology. Let your words carry certainty even in silence. Because the truth is simple, men will only ever respect you as much as you respect yourself. And when you raise your standard, they will feel it, they will see it, and they will treat you accordingly. Influence is one of the greatest forces in any relationship. It's not about control. It's not about manipulation. True influence is subtle yet unstoppable. It shapes the way someone sees you, thinks about you, and responds to you. And the women who hold real influence over men are not the ones who shout the loudest or demand the most. They are the ones who speak with calm certainty, who set boundaries without fear, and who carry themselves with quiet power. Think about this. Control creates resistance, but influence creates devotion. When someone tries to control another person, the natural reaction is to push back, to resist, to fight for freedom. But when someone influences with strength and clarity, resistance fades. Instead of pushing away, people lean in. Influence is magnetic. It doesn't force, it draws. And this is where many people go wrong in relationships. They believe that giving more, sacrificing endlessly, or pleasing without limits will create loyalty. But in reality, it does the opposite. When you give without boundaries, you don't inspire respect. You weaken it. The more you bend, the less you are valued. The more you chase, the more you are taken for granted. Why? Because human psychology doesn't admire what is desperate. It admires what is certain. True influence begins when you communicate your needs without fear, when you say what you mean clearly without apology, when you stop hiding your standards and instead allow them to be seen. Influence is not about making someone do what you want. It's about inspiring them to want to rise to your level. And when a man feels that, something shifts inside of him. He doesn't feel pressured. He feels challenged. He feels inspired. He feels drawn to give more, to be more, because he knows he is in the presence of a woman who knows her worth. This is why boundaries are not walls. They are doors. They don't shut people out. They guide them in the right way to connect with you. Without them, people walk all over you. With them, people learn to value you. And here's the hidden truth. Men actually crave these boundaries. Why? Because they give clarity. They eliminate confusion. They show him what is acceptable and what is not. And the male mind thrives on direction. Without it, he wanders. With it, he focuses. But influence isn't just about what you say. It's also about what you don't say. Silence can be more powerful than words. When you don't rush to fill the air with explanations, when you don't argue endlessly to prove your point, when you don't beg for validation, you communicate a level of power that is undeniable. It tells a man that you are secure enough not to fight for approval, and that security makes him respect you even more. Think about the people you admire most in life. Are they the ones who talk endlessly, or the ones who speak less but every word carries weight? That is the secret of influence, quality over quantity. The fewer words you use, the stronger they become. The more calm you remain, the more powerful your presence feels. And in relationships, presence is everything. When a woman masters her presence, men naturally shift around her. They listen more carefully. They hesitate before crossing her boundaries. They invest more energy into making her happy, not because she demanded it, but because her influence quietly demanded it. This is not about playing games. It's about aligning with the deepest principles of human psychology. People always rise to the level of expectation that feels unshakable. So, if you want real influence, stop trying to control and start standing firm. Stop trying to please and start expressing your truth. Stop fearing rejection and start embracing clarity. Influence is not about being liked in every moment. It's about being respected in every moment. And respect, as you've already learned, is the foundation of everything. Imagine what happens when you master this. Imagine a relationship where you no longer chase, no longer beg, no longer fear. Imagine a connection where your words carry such power that a man feels honored just to listen. Imagine him rising consistently, not because you demanded it, but because your influence inspired it. That is not fantasy. It is psychology. And it is available to you the moment you decide to step into it. So let this truth settle deep within you. Influence is greater than control. Presence is greater than persuasion. Boundaries are greater than sacrifice. And when you embody these truths, you will no longer wonder how to be valued. You will already be valued. You will no longer ask for respect. You will already be respected. That is the secret behind influence, and it changes everything. There is a moment in every relationship when the way you speak changes the way you are seen. One moment you are just another option. The next you become unforgettable. And often that shift comes down to a single sentence. One sentence that reveals your worth without needing to explain it. One sentence that sets the standard without argument. One sentence that separates you from every other woman in a man's life. This is the sentence, I don't chase, I choose. 6 simple words, but when spoken with calm certainty, they hold more power than an hour-long speech. Why? Because they reveal something rare in today's world. They reveal that you are not desperate. They reveal that you are not here to beg for love. They reveal that you already know your value, and because of that, you don't have to run after anyone. You simply choose who is worthy of you. Human psychology reacts instantly to this truth. When you chase, the brain interprets it as weakness, but when you choose, the brain interprets it as power. Men are wired to pursue value, and value is always something that cannot be easily claimed. The moment a man feels that you are not chasing him, but rather deciding whether he is worthy of you, something shifts inside of him. He feels the weight of responsibility. He feels the need to rise. He feels respect grow instantly. Think of how most people approach relationships. They try to win someone's attention by giving more, proving more, sacrificing more. They run after approval, hoping it will eventually buy them respect. But in reality, it does the opposite. The more you chase, the more you tell someone that their value is greater than yours. The more you overgive, the more you show that you don't believe in your own worth. The sad truth is this: the moment you give away your worth, respect disappears. But now imagine the opposite. Imagine looking at a man with calm confidence and saying, "I don't chase, I choose." Those words are not arrogant. They are not harsh. They are not demanding. They are simply a declaration of self-worth. And when said with the right tone, calm, steady, unapologetic, they cut through confusion. They tell him instantly who you are, a woman who knows her value and refuses to beg for love. Men respect that. In fact, they crave it. Deep inside, men want to rise for a woman who will not lower her standard. They want to feel the challenge of earning a place in your life. They want to know that they are chosen, not simply tolerated. And those 6 words place the power back in your hands. But this is not just about relationships with men. This sentence is a principle for life. In friendships, in work, in opportunities, you don't chase, you choose. You don't beg to be accepted. You don't lower your value for approval. You stand firm in your standard and you decide what is worthy of your energy. That mindset changes everything. It removes desperation. It removes fear. It removes insecurity. And in its place, it creates influence, confidence, and respect. The beauty of this truth is that it doesn't require you to be loud. It doesn't require endless explanations. It only requires certainty. And certainty is something you can build. The more you remind yourself of your worth, the stronger your voice becomes. The more you speak from self-respect, the more people respect you in return. So remember these 6 words, because they are the difference between being overlooked and being honored, or between being an option and being the one, between being taken for granted and being treated like a queen. I don't chase, I choose. That is the sentence that changes everything. And the moment you begin to live by it, not just speak it, but embody it, you will notice the world shifting around you. Men will lean in closer. Opportunities will open. People will think twice before disrespecting you. Why? Because you've declared without apology that you are not here to beg. You are here to decide. And that decision makes all the difference. So carry this sentence with you. Let it guide your actions. Let it shape your conversations. Let it remind you in every moment of doubt that you are not powerless. You hold the crown. You hold the choice. And when you live with that truth, others will have no option but to treat you like the queen you already are. Respect is not just an idea. It is a deep psychological need. For men, it is one of the strongest forces driving their behavior. A man will fight for it, protect it, and give his best when he feels it. And when he gives respect, it means he sees value that cannot be ignored. That is why understanding the psychology of respect is so powerful. Because once you know how it works, you'll see how naturally men begin to treat you differently. Men do not respect what comes too easily. Human nature is wired this way. We treasure what requires effort. We value what is not given away without thought. It's the same reason why a rare jewel is worth more than something common. The moment something is easily gained, it is unconsciously seen as less valuable. This isn't cruelty, it's psychology. Men respect what they cannot take for granted. When you show a man through your words and actions that your time, your love, and your energy are valuable, his mind instantly shifts. He begins to see you differently. You're no longer just another person in his life. You become someone he must rise to meet. That rise, that sense of effort, is what builds lasting respect. Because in his psychology, respect is tied to effort. The more he invests, the more he values. But here's the mistake so many women make. They give too much too soon without requiring effort in return. They pour out love, energy, and attention in the hope that it will make a man give respect. But psychology doesn't work that way. The brain does not respect what is given without cost. The brain respects what is earned. And this is not about playing games. It is about aligning with human nature. When you communicate your worth clearly, when you set standards without apology, when you hold your boundaries with calm certainty, you awaken a man's deepest psychological need to respect. His instincts respond to it. He doesn't even fully realize it, but something inside him compels him to step up, to protect, to honor, and to commit. Because a man's sense of strength and purpose comes alive when he is in the presence of someone who requires his best. Respect also ties to clarity. Men don't thrive in confusion. They thrive when they know the rules, when they know the standard, when they know what is expected. This is why boundaries are not rejection, they are direction. They give a man the framework to understand how to succeed with you. Without boundaries, he guesses. With boundaries, he knows. And when he knows, he can rise. Think about it this way. When you lower your standard just to keep someone interested, you may gain temporary attention, but you lose permanent respect. When you stand firm in your worth, you may lose the wrong man, but you will gain the right one, the one who sees your strength and feels inspired by it. That's the psychology at work. Men test, not because they always mean harm, but because they instinctively seek to know where the lines are. And the moment you draw those lines with confidence, you win respect. Now, there's another layer to this. Respect grows when a woman shows emotional stability. Men respect certainty. They respect composure. They respect the ability to remain calm under pressure. When you don't break down at the smallest test, when you don't explode over every minor thing, when you respond with strength instead of desperation, you separate yourself from the rest. Because in the male mind, a queen is not fragile. A queen is steady, and steadiness creates trust. Trust and respect are inseparable. A man cannot truly love what he does not respect. He may desire it, he may enjoy it, but he will not protect it, he will not honor it, and he will not give his all to it. But when he respects you, when he sees your strength, your self-worth, and your clarity, love grows deeper. His loyalty grows stronger. His devotion becomes natural. This is why respect is not optional. It is essential. And the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, and the way you set your boundaries all communicate whether or not you will receive it. Remember this truth. Men respect women who respect themselves. They respect what they must earn. They respect what is consistent, not what constantly bends. So let this settle deeply in your mind. If you want respect, you must embody it first. You must live it in your words, your silence, and your choices. Because once you do, psychology takes over. Men feel it. They respond to it. They rise to it. And when they do, you are no longer just another woman in their life. You become the one they cannot ignore, the one they cannot forget, the one they treat like a queen. If respect is the foundation of how men treat you, then the greatest danger is in the habits that destroy it. And sadly, this is where most women make their biggest mistake. Not because they lack value, not because they lack beauty, but because they unknowingly trade respect for attention. It often begins with good intentions. You care deeply. You want to show love, or you want to prove your worth by giving everything you can. So you overextend yourself. You explain too much. You apologize when you've done nothing wrong. Or you chase after someone's approval, hoping that the more effort you give, the more he will finally see your value. But psychology does not reward this behavior. It punishes it. Here's the truth most people don't want to face. Chasing attention will never create respect. The more you seek it, the further it runs. The more you give away your energy without boundaries, the less it is valued. Respect is not built on desperation. It is built on certainty. And when you fall into the trap of begging, explaining, or trying too hard, you unconsciously tell a man that your value is negotiable. Think about it this way. When someone apologizes for every small thing, even when it isn't their fault, do you feel respect for them or pity? When someone over-explains themselves, filling the silence with nervous words, do you see them as strong or insecure? Human psychology is clear. We do not admire what feels desperate. We admire what feels calm, firm, and secure. And this is why overgiving, over-explaining, and over-apologizing destroy respect in relationships. The mistake many women make is confusing love with sacrifice. They believe that the more they sacrifice, the more they will be loved. But in reality, love grows in balance, not in desperation. Men don't fall in love with someone who has no boundaries. They fall in love with someone whose boundaries make them rise. And when a woman constantly lowers her standard to keep a man, she doesn't win his heart. She loses his respect. Another mistake is waiting for validation before believing in yourself. This is one of the most dangerous traps, because the moment you make someone else the source of your value, you give away your power. You hand him the crown, and without even realizing it, you step down from your throne. A queen does not wait for others to remind her she is a queen. She knows it before anyone else says it. And let's address another habit that destroys respect: competing for attention. In a world filled with noise, many women feel the pressure to be louder, more available, more giving, hoping to outshine others. But this only weakens the impact of your presence, because the truth is simple. True value never competes, or simply exists, and others recognize it. When you try to compete for a man's attention, you lower your worth in his eyes. But when you remain steady, knowing your value is unquestionable, you rise above the noise. Here's the truth that will set you free. You never need to beg to be seen. The right man sees you clearly without you having to prove yourself. And if someone cannot see your worth, no amount of chasing, pleasing, or explaining will ever make them. The mistake most women make is wasting their energy proving themselves to the wrong men, instead of preserving their energy for the one who is already ready to rise. Respect is not lost in one big moment. It fades through small compromises. Every time you let a boundary slide, every time you apologize for something that needed no apology, every time you explain yourself to someone who never valued your explanation, you chip away at the respect you deserve. Until one day you wake up and wonder why you feel invisible. But this does not have to be your story. You can reclaim respect by refusing to make these mistakes any longer. Stop apologizing for your worth. Stop explaining yourself to those who never cared to understand. Stop chasing attention when your energy is too valuable to waste. The moment you decide to break these habits, you shift the way men see you forever. Because the truth is this, men cannot respect what you don't respect in yourself. And the more you stand firm, the more you hold your standard, the more you carry yourself with calm certainty, the more they feel compelled to treat you like a queen. So let this be a turning point. Recognize the mistakes that drain your value. Refuse to repeat them. Walk away from desperation and step back into dignity. Because the moment you stop chasing, you will find yourself being pursued. And when you stop begging for attention, you will find yourself commanding respect. Words are powerful, but strength does not come from how many you speak. Strength comes from how you speak them. And one of the most life-changing shifts a woman can make is learning to speak with certainty, clarity, and calm authority. Because when you do, men respond differently. The world responds differently. And most importantly, you begin to respond differently to yourself. The mistake most women make, as we explored earlier, is over-explaining, apologizing, or chasing with words. But true strength in speech is the opposite. It is not about flooding conversations with explanations. It is about speaking less, but making every word count. It is about cutting out doubt-filled phrases and replacing them with words that carry weight. Think about it. How often do you hear people say things like, "I'm sorry, but," or "I don't mean to bother you, but," or "maybe this is silly, but"? These are small phrases, yet they quietly destroy respect. They weaken your voice before you even deliver your message. They signal insecurity before you even get to the point. And the human mind reacts instantly. When we hear doubt, we take the message less seriously. Now compare that to a woman who speaks with calm certainty. She doesn't fill the silence with nervous chatter. She doesn't dilute her words with apologies. She doesn't soften her truth so much that it loses its power. Instead, she speaks directly but respectfully. She says what she means without hesitation. And the psychology behind this is undeniable. People trust those who sound like they trust themselves. Men especially are wired to respond to strength in communication. They instinctively admire clarity. They listen more closely when they sense certainty. And they respect boundaries that are expressed without anger but with firmness. A simple sentence like, "That doesn't work for me," spoken calmly, carries more influence than hours of emotional pleading. Because strength is not in volume. Strength is in certainty. One of the greatest tools you can use is silence. Silence, when used with intention, is powerful. It communicates confidence. It communicates patience. It shows that you do not need to rush for approval. Too often, people destroy the power of their own words by speaking too quickly after them. But when you allow silence to follow your words, you give them time to sink in. You let the weight of your message settle. And silence tells a man that you are not afraid of space. You are secure enough to let him process and respond. Speaking with strength also means choosing simplicity. You don't need long speeches to make your point. You don't need to repeat yourself over and over. The most powerful people in the world use short, clear sentences. Why? Because the mind remembers what is simple. And when your words are clear, your presence feels stronger. But here's the most important truth. Strength in speech doesn't mean harshness. It doesn't mean being rude, loud, or aggressive. Real strength is calm. Real strength is steady. Real strength is when your voice communicates dignity without the need for anger, because anger is often a mask for insecurity. But calm certainty cannot be faked. It is real. And it commands respect every time. So how do you build this strength? Start by becoming aware of your habits. Notice when you over-apologize. Notice when you soften your truth to avoid discomfort. Notice when you add extra words just to fill silence. And begin replacing these habits with clarity. Replace "I'm sorry," but with "here's what I need." Replace "maybe this is silly" with "this matters to me." Replace nervous chatter with steady silence. Small changes create massive shifts. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, your voice will change. Your tone will carry new weight, and you'll notice something incredible. People will begin treating you differently. Men will lean in to listen. They'll hesitate before dismissing your words. They'll feel the presence behind your speech. Why? Because they sense that you respect yourself, and your words reflect that self-respect. Remember this: when you speak with doubt, people doubt you. When you speak with certainty, people believe you. And in relationships, certainty is magnetic. It creates respect, attraction, and influence. Men don't need you to be loud. They need you to be clear. They don't need endless explanations. They need your truth, spoken with strength. So from this moment forward, guard your words. Choose clarity over confusion. Choose simplicity over over-explaining. Choose silence over desperation. And above all, choose certainty over doubt. Because the way you speak is not just communication. It is a declaration of who you are. And when you speak with strength, the world will have no choice but to treat you like the queen you already are. When you begin to speak with strength, something fascinating happens. The atmosphere around you shifts. The way men look at you changes. Their tone, their body language, their energy all begin to align with the power you carry within yourself. Because men instinctively respond to true feminine power, not the power that comes from shouting, not the power that comes from demanding, but the power that comes from a woman who knows her worth so deeply that she no longer feels the need to prove it. Men are not blind to confidence. They feel it. They sense it even before a word leaves your lips. Psychology proves this. Human beings are wired to pick up on subtle cues of dominance and certainty. When a woman enters a space with calm assurance, men unconsciously shift their behavior. They listen more closely. They stand a little taller. They become more careful with their words. Why? Because deep inside, men are drawn to respect what they cannot easily shake. Think about it. When someone is desperate for approval, others take them for granted. But when someone radiates self-respect, people rise to meet that standard. Men are no different. In fact, men crave a reason to rise higher. They want to invest in something that feels worthy of their devotion. And nothing sparks that fire more than a woman whose presence declares, "I will not settle for less than respect." This is not manipulation. It is not a game. It is simply psychology. Men are protectors by nature, providers by instinct. But those instincts are awakened only in the presence of a woman who holds herself with dignity. If you treat yourself like a queen, men feel compelled to treat you the same way. If you lower your value, they follow that lead too. You set the standard, and men adjust themselves to it. Notice how a man behaves when he is around a woman who carries true feminine power. He listens more than he speaks. He values her time. He pays attention to her needs without her begging for it. He takes pride in earning her trust. Because feminine power creates polarity, it draws out the masculine instinct to protect, provide, and respect. But here is the truth many overlook. Men do not respond to chaos, but to calm. They do not respect desperation, but boundaries. They are not drawn to loud demands, but to quiet certainty. True feminine power does not need to scream to be heard. It simply exists, and it is impossible to ignore. The strongest men feel the deepest respect for women who embody this kind of power. Weak men may resist it because it exposes their lack of strength, but strong men, men who are grounded and capable, are drawn to it like gravity. They admire it. They seek it. They want to be in the presence of it because it challenges them to become better versions of themselves. Imagine this, a woman who speaks with clarity, who values her time, who does not chase but attracts. Every word she speaks carries meaning. Every boundary she sets communicates self-respect. Every silence she allows demonstrates inner strength. How can a man not respond to that? He cannot treat her casually because her presence does not allow it. He cannot dismiss her because her energy commands respect. Men also crave direction in relationships. They may not always admit it, but deep down they want to know what standard they must rise to. A woman who lives her life with self-respect gives him that direction without needing to control him. She shows him, simply by how she carries herself, what is acceptable and what is not. And when a man senses that, he either rises to meet her standard or he walks away. Either way, she wins because she never lowers herself to be chosen. This is the secret behind devotion. When a man truly respects a woman, he does not see her as replaceable. He sees her as rare. He sees her as someone he must protect, honor, and cherish. And that feeling doesn't come from games. It doesn't come from manipulation. It comes from the energy of true feminine power. So understand this. The way men treat you is often a mirror of how you treat yourself. If you tolerate disrespect, they learn that it is acceptable. If you settle for less, they believe you want no more. But when you set the bar high, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty, men rise. And the ones who refuse were never meant for you in the first place. Never underestimate how deeply men respond to presence. True feminine power is not about dominance over men. It is about alignment with yourself. It is about valuing your worth so deeply that you naturally attract respect, protection, and devotion. And once you embody this power, you will notice that you no longer chase respect. It comes to you. You no longer beg for love. It flows naturally toward you. You no longer settle for crumbs because your very presence demands the banquet. That is how men respond to true feminine power. Not with resistance, but with reverence. Not with indifference, but with devotion. Because when you live as a queen, you leave no other option. When you understand your power, everything about your relationships begins to shift. The way you are spoken to changes. The way you are treated changes. Even the way men think about you changes. Because you are no longer stepping into love from a place of need, you are stepping into it from a place of strength. A relationship built on weakness cannot last. But a relationship built on respect, on admiration, on clear boundaries has the power to stand the test of time. Men know this. They may not say it directly, but they feel it. They know when they are standing in front of a woman who demands more than surface attention. And that knowing transforms how they show up. Think about how psychology works in human connection. People invest more in what they fear losing. When a man realizes he cannot take your love for granted, he treats it like treasure. He becomes intentional. He becomes protective of your heart. He makes effort, not because you begged for it, but because he knows he will lose you if he doesn't. That fear of loss sharpens his respect. It deepens his devotion, and it pushes him to rise. This is how transformation happens, not by trying to control someone else's behavior, but by controlling your own standards. When you hold yourself to a higher level, men naturally begin to reflect that back to you. They match your energy. They adjust their actions. And if they don't, then their absence only makes space for someone who will. Every relationship mirrors the energy you bring into it. If you lead with desperation, the relationship feels unstable. If you lead with fear, the connection becomes fragile. But when you lead with calm strength, when your presence speaks louder than your words, everything shifts. Men no longer test your boundaries because they know those boundaries are not negotiable. They no longer play games because they realize you are not someone to be played with. The strongest relationships are built not on endless compromise, but on mutual respect. Respect is the foundation of love. Without it, love becomes manipulation. But with it, love becomes freedom. Respect allows both people to flourish. Respect allows both to grow stronger together. And when you demand that respect from the beginning, you ensure that love does not weaken you. It elevates you. This is why so many relationships fail. People enter them hoping the other person will complete them. But you are not meant to be completed. You are meant to be complemented. A relationship should not fill your emptiness. It should amplify your fullness. And that only happens when you walk into love already whole, already strong, already standing tall in your worth. Men feel this difference. They know when they are with a woman who is simply looking to be rescued. And they know when they are with a woman who can stand alone but chooses to share her strength. The second is irresistible. The second inspires respect. The second transforms a man's behavior because he understands that her love is not born of weakness but of power. So ask yourself, what kind of relationships are you creating? Are they built on fear or strength? Are they born out of desperation? Or do they flow from self-respect? Because the answer to those questions will reveal why men treat you the way they do. If you want transformation, it starts with you. It starts with the way you value yourself. When you embody your worth, you don't need to chase validation. You don't need to beg for consistency. You don't need to remind someone how to love you. Instead, you attract partners who are already ready, already strong, already prepared to love you in the way you deserve, because you've set the standard high enough that only the worthy can reach it. And this changes not just one relationship, it changes your entire life, your friendships, your family dynamics, your professional interactions. Every connection begins to rise to a higher level. People stop underestimating you. They stop overlooking you. They stop trying to treat you casually, because the way you carry yourself leaves no space for that kind of behavior. That is the secret. Transformation in your relationships begins with transformation in yourself. When you respect yourself deeply, others are forced to respect you too. When you raise your standards, others either rise with you or they fall away. And both outcomes are victories because both protect your peace. So never forget, love should not break you. Love should not weaken you. Love should not silence your voice. True love builds you up. True love honors your worth. True love transforms you into the best version of yourself. And if it doesn't, then it is not love at all. Carry this truth in your heart. You do not need to fight for a man's respect. You only need to live in a way that demands it. And once you do, your relationships will never look the same again. A queen is not crowned by others. She crowns herself. She does not wait for permission. She does not wait for validation. She does not wait for someone to notice her worth. She knows who she is. And because she knows, the world has no choice but to recognize it too. The most powerful truth you can embrace is that your value is not determined by how someone treats you. Your value is already infinite. But the moment you forget that, the moment you compromise on it, you hand over your crown. You give away your power. And that is when people start treating you as less than what you are. To live like a queen is not about arrogance. It is about alignment. It is about aligning your actions with your worth, your words with your standards, and your life with your vision. When you live in that alignment, everything around you begins to shift. The people who do not honor you fall away. The opportunities that do not serve you disappear. And what remains is only what matches your strength. This is the law of attraction at its deepest level. You do not attract what you wish for. You attract what you embody. If you embody strength, you attract respect. If you embody self-love, you attract love that matches. If you embody dignity, you attract loyalty. Life reflects back to you who you are, not who you pretend to be. So the question is simple. Who are you becoming? Are you becoming someone who accepts less than she deserves? Or are you becoming someone who sets the tone for how she is treated simply by the way she carries herself? Because when you become the second, you are no longer hoping for respect. You are commanding it. Not with force, not with anger, but with presence. Presence is power. You don't need to argue for your value. You don't need to explain it endlessly. You don't need to fight for someone to see it. Your presence alone will make it undeniable. Because when you stand tall, when you move with purpose, when your voice carries calm strength, people feel it. They may not understand it fully, but they know it is real. And here is the truth. Men are drawn to women who know themselves. Not because of external beauty, not because of charm, but because confidence is magnetic. Respect is magnetic. Self-worth is magnetic. These are the qualities that inspire loyalty, devotion, and admiration. These are the qualities that turn ordinary connections into extraordinary relationships. But remember this, you are not becoming a queen for anyone else. You are becoming a queen for yourself. Because the moment you step into your own power, every area of your life transforms. Your relationships rise, your confidence grows, your opportunities expand. You stop waiting for life to hand you blessings, and you start creating them. This is the secret of true transformation, when you stop asking, will someone treat me like a queen? And instead declare, I will treat myself like a queen. Because when you do that, others have no choice but to follow. They see your self-respect, and it sets the standard for how they must treat you. And if they cannot rise to meet it, they remove themselves. That is not loss. It is protection. Every queen understands this. Solitude is better than disrespect. Peace is better than chaos. Waiting for the right one is better than settling for the wrong one. And because she understands this, she never lowers her crown to fit someone else's comfort. She keeps it high, she keeps it steady, and those who are worthy will rise to match her. So let this be your reminder today. You do not need to change who you are to be loved. You do not need to shrink yourself to be accepted. You do not need to fight to be respected. You only need to embody your true self to live by your standards and to walk in your worth every single day. Because once you do, you will no longer be asking for love, begging for attention, or chasing validation. You will be receiving it naturally because your presence will demand it. That is what it means to live as a queen. Not a title someone else gives you, but a truth you declare for yourself. And when you declare it, when you live it, when you breathe it, you will find that the world begins to treat you exactly as you always wanted. Not because you asked, but because you finally remembered who you were all along.